Hey, welcome to the Water and Alcohol Lab. So make sure you answer the pre-lab questions before you watch the video. So if you haven't answered those pre-lab questions, pause the video right now and answer those questions and come up with your hypotheses of what you think is going to happen when I take equal volumes of water and alcohol and combine them. So I have an Erlenmeyer flask that we're going to put them into, and I have a stopper that I'm going to put on that. And then I have two beakers, beaker 1 and beaker 2, and these will hold water and this will hold alcohol, and a little bit of food coloring in the bottom so that we can tell which one's which when we put them in there. Okay, so in beaker 1, I have a little bit of blue food coloring, and its mass is 49.23 grams. And then in beaker 2, I have a little bit of yellow food coloring, and its mass is 49.82, and I'll show you that in just a minute. So then I have a graduated cylinder. And in this graduated cylinder, on this one I put in 50 milliliters of distilled water. Okay, so we're going to take exactly the same volume, so I'm going to make sure when I read this, I get down at eye level because of the meniscus on there, so you want to look at that little bubble and read at the bottom. So that's because of the polar properties of water, because it has adhesive and cohesive properties, so it wants to climb up the sides and it also wants to cling to each other. So I'm going to take this blue beaker and I'm going to add that 50 milliliters of water to it. Okay, so over here I have a, whoops, sorry about that, have a scale, and on here now I'm going to write down the new volume. Okay, so with the water, its new volume now is 96.34 grams. Okay, so now I have my blue one, and I'm going to do that same thing with the yellow. And I'm going to get my ethanol, and I'm going to add that in. Okay, so again, I'm going to get down at eye level and read that and make sure that the bottom, it's got a tad too much, just drop a little tiny drop out. And read it again, and yep, we're right on 50. So now I'm going to add this onto here and get the mass. And so its mass is now at 88.39. Whoops, I got a little bit of water on there. And then I'm going to take these and combine them. I'm going to put them into my flask. So I'm going to add the water first. And I have 50 milliliters and 50 milliliters, so 50 plus 50 should add up to 100. So you can see here on the water that it's right at this mark here on the 50 milliliter mark. And I'm going to add this. And I pour it in, and I put it together, and I'm right on the 100. So I'm going to stopper that. So you can see right here, it's right on the 100 milliliters. And so we're going to pause this for just a minute, and then we'll come back. So here are your numbers that you need to record. So the flask, this part right here, was 89.54. Whoops, my water leaked on there. So then in beaker 1, you got to figure out how much water I added. So you're going to have to subtract these to figure out how much the mass of the water is. And then in beaker 2, these are the numbers that you need for beaker 2. So record this down into your lab data and your table. And then I'm going to pause this for a minute, and we're going to come back in about 5 minutes to see the results.